Jeffrey Epstein. This name is known across the world today. But who was this man? How did an ordinary boy from Brooklyn become a multimillionaire? And why did his name become entangled with one of the most scandalous affairs in history? In today's video, we will learn about the mysterious life of Jeffrey Epstein, his rise, his power, and that secret life he hid for years and years. Let's start from the very beginning. Jeffrey Edward Epstein was born on January 20th, 1953 in Brooklyn, New York. His family was middle class. His father, Seymour Epstein, was a groundskeeper for the Parks Department, and his mother, Pauline, was a school aide. A completely ordinary family. No special wealth, no special influence. Jeffrey grew up near Coney Island, where working-class people lived. In school, Jeffrey was a reasonably good student. His skill in mathematics was particularly noteworthy. In 1970, he enrolled at Cooper Union University, but dropped out after just 2 years. After that, he studied for some time at New York University's Stearns School of Business, but didn't complete his degree there either. So, a college dropout. No special qualifications on paper, but this very man would become the owner of millions and millions of dollars within a few years. How? The first major turning point came in 1974. Without any educational degree, Jeffrey Epstein got a job at an elite private school in Manhattan, the Dalton School, as a mathematics and physics teacher. This sounds strange, doesn't it? How does a college dropout become a teacher at an elite Manhattan school? Here begin the mysterious aspects of Epstein's story. While working at Dalton School, he became acquainted with many wealthy and influential families. Their children studied at that school, and Epstein was clever. He understood that these connections were his real wealth. After teaching for just a few years, in 1976, Epstein left Dalton School. Why? Because he had found something bigger, an opportunity that would change his life forever. He joined Bear Stearns. This was a huge investment bank on Wall Street. But the interesting thing is, here too, he had no financial education or experience, yet he got the job. How? Here his connections worked. At Dalton School, he had become acquainted with a student's father, who was a senior executive at Bear Stearns, and that connection opened the door for him. At Bear Stearns, Epstein started from the very bottom, but his rise was incredibly rapid. Within just 4 years, in 1980, he became a limited partner. This was a huge deal on Wall Street. But just 2 years later, in 1982, Epstein suddenly left Bear Stearns. Why? That was never made clear. Some reports say he was forced out for certain rule violations, but its veracity was never confirmed. Anyway, Epstein left Wall Street, but he didn't leave his ambitions. In 1982 itself, he started his own company, J. Epstein and Company. The purpose of this company was very specific. He would only take those clients whose wealth exceeded $1 billion. Yes, you heard that right. $1 billion. At that time, this was unimaginable. But the question is, how would a young, relatively inexperienced financial consultant get billionaire clients? Here begins the most mysterious chapter of Epstein's life. Epstein's first and most important client was Leslie Wexner. He was the owner of a massive retail company called The Limited. Victoria's Secret was also his. Wexner was a billionaire, and for some unknown reason, he gave Epstein responsibility for almost all his financial matters. Not only that, Epstein was given power of attorney, meaning Epstein could make any financial decision on behalf of Wexner. This was unusual. How could an extremely wealthy person place so much trust in a relatively unknown man? But Wexner did, and this relationship made Epstein unimaginably rich. Accurate information about Epstein's wealth was never obtained. His company was completely secretive. There were no public records. No one knew exactly what he did, how he earned. But one thing was clear. Epstein had become incredibly wealthy. He had a huge mansion in New York, worth $70 million. It was one of the largest private homes in Manhattan. He had another luxurious house in Palm Beach, Florida, a massive ranch in New Mexico, and a private island in the Caribbean Sea, Little St. James Island, which would later be known by a terrible name. Epstein had a private jet, a Boeing 727, which was called the Lolita Express. The significance of this name would later become horrifyingly clear, but most mysterious were his social connections. Epstein's list of friends and acquaintances was incredible. Presidents, princes, Hollywood stars, Nobel Prize-winning scientists, world-famous businessmen. President Bill Clinton flew many times on Epstein's private jet. Prince Andrew, a member of the British royal family, was Epstein's close friend. Donald Trump, who who would later become president of America, was also acquainted with Epstein. Epstein threw parties attended by the world's most powerful people. He took photos with them. These connections were his real power. But the question remains, how did a former school teacher who had no proper educational qualifications become so powerful? How did he get all these connections? Some people believe Epstein was a brilliant financier. His financial skills took him to these heights, but there's no proof of this. He has no famous deals, no stories of public success. Others believe Epstein had secret information. He knew the secret things about powerful people, and this information was his real wealth, a kind of blackmail. Some conspiracy theories even say Epstein worked for some intelligence agency, that his job was to trap powerful people and collect information about them. But there's no definite proof of these theories. What is certain is that Epstein was a master manipulator. He knew how to influence people, how to create connections, how to strengthen his position. In the 90s and early 2000s, Epstein was unstoppable. His influence was everywhere. He donated to scientific research to universities. He presented himself as an intellectual, as a philanthropist. But behind this glittering life lay a dark truth, a secret life that would gradually be revealed. And when it was, the entire world would be shocked. Jeffrey Epstein's story is not just the story of a wealthy person's rise. It's a story of power, influence, and how some people abuse that power. In the next video, we will learn about that dark side, the allegations and lawsuits that completely changed Epstein's life, the truth that was hidden for years and years.